I'm going to talk a little bit about training donkeys for work. The number one thing that you need to remember is that most of the work that donkeys do the very best is work where you walk and they walk and you do the work that you need to get done around the farm and they carry all your stuff. In my opinion, tillage, tearing up the ground, turning the green side under and the brown side up, was always a mistake. It does appear to have positive outputs, but in the long run it doesn't. It just kills the earth and it kills the life in it. Anyway, so although technically you could do tillage with them, tillage is not a good thing to do. In my videos about training, I'm trying to show you each of the tasks, but I'm not coming anywhere close to showing you all of the performances of those tasks. I just got back from taking Kitty on a 2-mile walk on the road, mostly on the road. When we came back, we did a tour of a portion of this season's agroforestry plantings because I wanted to see how it was doing. It's mid-April and things are starting to leaf out, and I wanted to see how my plantings, if any of them had sprouted, or how my hazelnuts were doing. They're budding heavily and a few leaves showing. But taking your donkeys for walks anywhere where you might want to work them later, which means if you wanted to drive them into town to go to the grocery store, you need to walk them into town on a lead rope. If you need, eventually they'll go places they've never been, and that'll be fine. But we're talking about a new owner with new animals who's trying to get everything settled down, and the way to do that is just walk with them. Walking calms them, and walking calms us. And so as we're with them, we all get calmer, and they stop and they start, and they stop and they start. You have to be patient with them, because when they stop, if you lose your temper, it screws things up. So, but if I showed you every video of every time that I take one of these, especially these girls who are the new kids, for a walk, I would have to spend too much of my time focusing on the camera and not enough of my time focusing on the donkey, because there is a conflict there. So I just want you to understand, as you watch these videos, something you see me do once with one of these donkeys, you might want to do it 50 times. You might want to do it 20 times. But you can't just go out once and say, okay, now we did that. So I'm just trying to, it can be misleading to create a playlist called Training Donkeys from Scratch, because you're going to see, I'm attempting to let you see each of the things that I do, as I said, but I'm not able to let you see all of the times that I do any of them. So the different tasks that I show you, those are just they just stand as signposts. Do this some few times and do this a few times. You can tell how well your donkey's learning the lesson by how calm your donkey is, and how willing your donkey is, and how happy your donkey is to do work with you. I find personally around here that none of mine really like to go from goofing off to working. So when I put a halter on them and I try to lead them out of here, they all tend to not want to go out of the barnyard and down the driveway. So I sort of discount that. A lot of mornings I really don't want to start working either, but if I don't, I'll be stuck in the house all day, so I just get up and drag myself out. And it's kind of like that with them, you get them up and drag them out. And then once they get out there, though, like this walk that Kitty and I just had, she started out very, very still, very nervous, but not just after, they're always better after you turn around and head back, you know, but not just after we turned around. We did about it. We walked a little over a mile, or right at a mile, one direction, which takes us to the Blacktop Road. I wanted to go up there and stand with her and watch the traffic go by a few times, just so that she'd see the traffic going by. And when we walk on the gravel road, a certain number of people pass us, and that's good. See, she needs to learn that, and the more times it happens, and nothing hurts her, why the better off everything is. So that's the plan. But we got about halfway to the blacktop, and she was very nervous, especially there's cows down here, and although where she grew up there were cows, but it wasn't these cows, and so it's all different, you know. But we got about halfway there, and she just settled in, and she just walked. I mean, she was just beside me, like walking a real good, loyal, tame dog with you on a slack leash. You know, you got the leash in your hand, that's a formality, and it hangs in a loop up to the dog's collar, and you just walk along happily. That's the way we were walking. The lead rope hung in a slack loop from my hand down and back up to her halter, and she just walked along beside me just as placidly and happily. And then when I get on the driveway and we're headed back up the drive towards the barn, then I put the lead rope around her neck, loop it loosely around her neck, where there's a loop right under her chin that I can reach if I need to if she walks off her own direction, but where I can start to teach her in that relatively enclosed environment that in the long run I'm going to be asking her to walk completely under her own physical control and just accepting my direction, you know, when to go and when to stop and which way to turn. So we started that already. Sydney came here yesterday and trimmed everybody's feet, and Sydney comes every 6 weeks, and she brought them here the day after her last visit to trim Abe, and so that tells us now that these two new girls have been here for 6 weeks, and I don't know how long it'll take them to get to where they're as broke as Abe is, to where they'll pull carts and be happy about it, and to where things don't scare the heck out of them. I don't care either, you know. My process here is to work with them as they learn these things at their own pace, and to not frighten them, to reassure them when they are frightened, and to reward them when they do well, when they perform well. And I rewarded Kitty a lot, both with verbal rewards, and then when we got back, everybody got a handful of peanut shells. And my primary treat that I give them for treats is peanut shells, because they're salty and they like salt, and they're crunchy and they like crunch, and there's very little fat and almost no sugar. They're a very complex starchy carbohydrate that takes a long time to break down in the gut, but a donkey can digest peanut shells. But it's not like a candy type treat that will adversely affect their hoof health. So that's why I use peanuts. That plus I like salted peanuts. See, so I eat the peanuts and they get the shells. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of catch you up in verbal terms on how I'm trying to make these lessons usable. And I thank you, as always, for coming along with us, and I hope that you're enjoying these lessons. I hope that you get a donkey. They're wonderful. They're wonderful companions, and they're so smart, and they're so comforting. They're just comfortable to be around. So I'll see you on the next go around. Thank you.